Today is Saturday, November 23rd, 2024. Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is the listener feedback show for Survivor 47, Week 10.
It just keeps rolling. This season is delivering. I'm anxious to hear what other people thought, but I'm just very, very positive on this season.
Excellent.
Yes.
Well, I would like to wish a very happy birthday to my mommy.
Oh, yeah.
She is going to be 97 tomorrow.
Yeah. How awesome
Yay.
is that? And still just a dynamo.
Yeah.
Out trimming her hedges and whatever else she wants to do, tootling around.
She's like, but you guys are really busy. And besides, it's done now. I'm like, Mama, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
But she cut them back because she hired somebody and they didn't do them good.
Right. Shouldn't have left that up to someone else.
Okay, you go, Mama.
Yeah. So we enjoyed the episode, had a good time with it. Anxious to see what other people had to say. Is there anything we need to cover? Do we have any business before we dive in?
I don't believe so.
All right, first up, we got a call from Pete.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. This is Pete from Boston calling here. Wow, another blind side, baby. And man, I'm so glad Gabe got voted out. I was starting to grow on him a little. He brought some game, but he hosts Torch Snuffed, and now let me let out a great big woo! Whoa, baby. Crazy episode, though. I'd be remiss, though, not mentioning tropes with the rice negotiation there. Man, I didn't see that coming either. Every single player, well, except Rachel, because she had already used it, gave up their shot in the dark just to have rice. And I honestly can't say I don't blame them. The portions are limited now. They have to fend for themselves more for fish. It isn't like it was in the old school days, as Probst calls it, the monster new era, whatever it goes through his cuckoo mind there. But man, I was worried for Sam, because if Sam kept stay true to his word and not let Gabe get in his head, I wouldn't have been surprised if they sent him home, because he really doesn't have anybody. But hey, they got rid of Gabe, and you know what? That was the right move. With Kyle winning another immunity challenge, on the verge of maybe joining Ozzy, Tom Westman, and I forget whoever else has won that many immunity challenges, Colby from season 2, you know, if he wins 5. But anyway, though, they had to get rid of Gabe. He was a threat, and they all knew he had Sue in his back pocket, and a little bit with Caroline. And the way the edit was looking, I thought Rachel was going to get her way with some of the other people there. Gabe, working with Gabe and them to get rid of Genevieve. But I guess we were fooled, or I got a little fooled, and see you later, Gabe. Wonder now if he regrets, well, he probably won't regret the shot in the dark thing in the moment, I'm sure. Maybe looking back, he regrets it. But I wonder now, I got to hear in his interviews, because we don't get any Ponderosa, if he truly thought Caroline would flip on him. I suspect he thought Kyle would, as seen as a threat, unless he thought of him as a shield. I know he knew it wasn't Sue, because Sue was his number one there. But I wonder if he was shocked about Caroline flipping, and maybe not anyone else, because everyone else, Andy is back and forth, Rachel, Sam, Genevieve, although Genevieve now is going to be seen probably now as more of a threat. If Kyle wins again, I wouldn't be surprised if Genevieve goes, and now Teeny is sort of the one laying low now that I feel like is in a decent spot not. It truly is anyone's game. I mean, Kyle, if he somehow wins it all the way to the end, he'll win. But I really don't see that coming. I don't know who's going to win. It's anyone's game for the taking, which I truly love here. I don't really think Gabe's going to be too bitter. Sierra seems the most bitter, and Saul seemed all right when he got voted out last week. We'll see, guys. I'm digging this season, though, for sure. I got to hear Probst's podcast about how shocked he was with all them giving up the shot in the dark there. That was awesome. And check out Gabe's interview if he was shocked about Caroline. Take care, guys. Woo.
Whoa. He said he had just high praise for Caroline.
Really?
Yeah. Early in the game, he said they spent hours and hours. She was the only one that he could really talk any strategy with, beyond the basics, where they could run numbers and do different scenarios, sort of deep dive on the game. And he nurtured that relationship. He had to pull them in initially, because she was skeptical. They showed that. I don't know if you remember all the way back to the first one. She was skeptical of him, and he wanted to go for TK. He was really looking to knock TK out because TK was like the big alpha on that tribe. And he said Caroline told him that her and Sue were going to play their shots in the dark because they knew they were on the bottom. And he was like, no, you can't do that. You can't give up your vote. I need your vote, to go after TK. Anyway, he eventually convinced her by showing her the idol that he had found. But he had just high praise for her. I think he called her a dragon, that she had ascended to being a dragon in the game. So he was really proud. He wasn't resentful of her game at all. I thought, wow, that's interesting. To hear all that.
Why haven't they shown us any of that?
He said he screwed up because he didn't maintain it. And in this last game cycle, because she lost her vote that time, and so there wasn't a lot to really hash over with her, and he had to shift his attention to other people. And then in the, when he was working with Saul on a vote, and so he wasn't maintaining the relationship with her. He also said he didn't have to maintain it with Sue, that he and Sue had this thing where they would just check in really briefly with each other, and they had stayed solid the whole time doing that. And it was very undercover, and people just really, from his perspective, people did not know about what was going on there. But so Caroline came to him in this last cycle before the last tribal council and said, why am I hearing what your move is from other people and not from you? And he realized he had goofed it at that point, that he hadn't come to her right away with what he was thinking strategy-wise. He said, it's just like a habit. You'll fall out of doing things. And we've heard this time and time again, that it'll just be a slight deviation in your pattern, and that's what gives you off to someone else, and then they have to feel like they have to make a pivot away from you.
Well, because of the constant paranoia in the game.
Yes. And you can think, we've had all this previous history and it was solid, but it's only as good as the last conversation and
or
whenever that was.
Vote.
Yeah. And not even then. It's just, when was the last time that you checked in strategy-wise? And
right.
If you're not being consistent with how you had behaved previously, then it causes doubt to creep in.
Yep. Yeah,
it's good stuff. He had some good stuff in the interviews, and he said the "I'll be back" thing was just off the top of his head. It wasn't. It was just he felt like he was going to get his torch relit or something like that at some point. So that he quipped that out.
Well, he will be back on the jury.
In the "You Turned Out to Be a Snake" was directed at Teenie.
Oh, okay.
Because she had come around and had been part of this vote for him. Good stuff. Thanks, Pete. Good job. Next up, we got a call from Robert.
Hey, Joanna, Stacy, and Survivor fans. This is Robert from Canada calling in. Another episode of Survivor's in the books, and overall I feel like it was a pretty good one. I do have one big complaint, though. Why couldn't Gabe have gone home last week when I had him as my vote off instead of this week? At least I didn't lose a save point this week. I think so far this season in the JSFL, I've lost one save point, but I also had a vote off correct, and I still find myself in the middle of the pack on the side challenge, so people must be doing really well picking their vote off, so hats off to you guys. This episode saw the return of Negotiator Jeff, who's maybe my second least favorite version of Jeff besides daytime TV talk show host Jeff. I just wish they'd stop putting obstacles in the way of the game playing normally. Even at immunity challenges, I feel like it just breaks up the momentum. And I wonder, given how readily they all basically gave up their shot in the darks, does it give Jeff second thoughts as to the usefulness of shot in the dark as a consistent part of the game? I don't hate shot in the dark, but I don't think it really needs to exist either, and I'd rather it just go away. I think shortly after the merge, we saw a few players really make themselves stand out as potential winners in the game. I think Rachel has a great story and has a lot of momentum in the game. She's who I would pick at this moment of time for the winner of the game. I think Andy obviously is getting a weird but very favorable edit in the game. And Genevieve is showing herself to be a big threat and a potential winner. Although I'm really puzzled why she made herself into such a big threat for the Saul vote at that moment in time. Like, was it really worth it just for getting rid of Saul? Like, it didn't feel like Saul was that big of a threat in the game to make yourself such a prominent threat that early, and I think she could have sat behind the scenes just a little bit longer. I'm glad you guys touched on how dirty Sue's face was this episode. I know they don't have mirrors available, but surely she could feel that amount of dirt on her face. And I also found all episode long, I'm not sure if you guys noticed, but any scene where they show Gabe and his face, it sort of looked like he was wincing or had a pained expression. I paused several times to show my wife. I think Gabe was really suffering with not eating. It looked like he had lost a ton of weight, and maybe he wasn't feeling great either. And this brings me back to the negotiation and the rice, and I really wish they'd just bring back the normal amount of rice just for people to survive in the game, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. So who's going to go home next week? I'm probably going to go with Genevieve, although I seem to be a week early with my vote-offs. It could be Kyle, but I think it depends on how much people weigh his story in addition to his immunity wins. I think in the new era that immunity wins aren't enough to get you to win the game. Right. It's a social game first and foremost. And I don't think Kyle really has been in the driver's seat for many votes, but that could all change with this recent Gabe vote. So maybe it could be Kyle, but I look forward to hearing all the other fans' feedback, and that's it for me. You guys just take care.
Good job. Thanks, Robert. Yeah, Probst is still pro shot in the dark, is my assessment after listening to his podcast this week. He still sees value in it. You could just tell from the way he references it that he's going to stay with that. We got to start a campaign where it's explaining how the shot in the dark doesn't add fun if you don't want shot in the dark. I think that's what you got to push. The low amount of food, which he's still very pro on, because they checked with the medical team and they told him that about 18 days is as far as they want to go with depriving them of food. Right. So he still thinks that's a valid choice. But if we can make a strong case for, look, it ain't fun. We're going to get a lot more fun if they're functioning at a higher mental level and physical level because they have the food that they need.
Well, and if they don't negotiate, they don't get the food, and that's not okay, even by medical. So is it really a negotiation or...
Right. They've almost backed themselves into a corner with causing a problem.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I'm totally on the same page with Robert with regards to that. I'd rather see him be way more performant. I think it will result in more fun. I believe what I'm saying. It's not just making a case to convince him, but good stuff. Next up, we got a call from Rebecca.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. This is Rebecca calling with my feedback in rainy Northern California. You guys are not missing a thing. All it's done here for 3 days is rain. I was so close to getting a vote out point this week. I really wanted Genevieve to be the one who was voted out. It really made me mad that she voted out my USB Saul, and I thought it was time for her to go, and it got so close. I was so excited. I was actually watching Survivor with my boyfriend from Maine who's visiting, and I think he hasn't watched it maybe since the first season, so it was really fun to be explaining everybody, and he kept going, Genevieve's going out. Yeah, you picked a good one. She's definitely going out. And then it was Gabe, and I get it. Of course, the Tukus couldn't go into the next phase of the game with 4 people, and I think it was really cool that Caroline broke her alliance and that Kyle didn't vote with the alliance either. Kind of shook things up, and it's really exciting to see what might happen next. We've got Teeny coming out of her shell like a little phoenix rising from the ashes. We got Sam still going strong. We've got Andy playing hard. Who saw that coming? And sweet Kyle winning everything. I kept saying, oh yeah, I need him to win immunity. That's the one I like the best. And my boyfriend kept going, oh, you're sweating him. I'm like, no, I just love him. Anyway, it was wonderful to watch. I still want Genevieve to get voted out. I can't wait to see the fallout when Sue realizes Caroline didn't vote for her, with her. Oh, Sue. Sue needs a face wash and some moisturizer. She's looking rough. It was a really fun episode to watch. I love that everyone gave up their shot in the dark for the rice. That was a twist. I thought that was very exciting. And who will go next? Will it be Genevieve? Gosh, I hope so. I think that's all I got now. I'm actually at a storytelling event, and I'm going to get up and tell a story, and it should be really fun. You guys have a wonderful weekend. Hope the box pile is getting lesser, and all the things that needs to be fixed are getting fixed. Thank you so much for all that you do for us. Love the podcast. Love the community. You guys have a great day. Bye.
Awesome. Thanks, Rebecca. Yeah, things are getting fixed.
Well, definitely. We just about have a new room.
Yeah.
We have two.
That was torn down
two
to the
new
dirt.
walls, and
Yeah.
we have a subfloor again. We don't have the flooring down yet, and they're
Soon.
gonna work on the mud on the sheetrock, and
Yes.
got to have a roofer come now. Gonna need a new roof, and they tore off
All
a
right,
part
stop,
of
stop,
it.
stop.
Okay, and I might have got 2 boxes done this week.
I hope your storytelling event worked out great. That's brave of you to get up and do that. That's not an easy thing to do.
No, it isn't.
Good deal. Thanks, Rebecca. Next up, we got a call from Anderson.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy, this is Anderson from North Carolina calling with my feedback for week 10. Alright, so I'm sorry I couldn't get my feedback in last week. I lost a sick point, and I lost another sick point this week. I was thinking we'd go after somebody else like Sue. And Joanne, I put Sue for my vote out twice because I think Sue is much more insulated than everybody else thinks. My USB Sam is definitely under that. He's in a much better position in the game. He, right now, has gotten not quite to the position he was on Gata, where he was driving all the votes, but he is not on the bottom. He's like more in the middle. I think if he makes it to the finale and gets it into the second part, and he wins, he's probably going to win the game, but if he loses, he either loses in fire or wins and then wins the game. Because right now, Sam has a great story. Sue and Andy are probably people Sam could beat easily. Yeah, I know Andy's doing a great edit. Andy's either gonna lose at fire or make it to the final 3 and then get second. Because Sue, I think, will make it because she's not a threat at all. Caroline, she's probably gonna get taken out 4th or 5th or 6th, and Teeny might go 5th or 6th or 4th, but I don't see Genevieve or Kyle getting much further. I thought it was going to be like a Kyle versus Sam or Sue versus Sam in the immunity, but Sam just couldn't keep it going. He hasn't won an immunity, and everyone thinks he's immune to these for it. I don't see where that's coming from, but that reward challenge, Blue dominated. I was thinking when it went to commercial before they drew the teams, what if Gabe, Kyle, and Sam were on the team? They would crush the course. And then Gabe and Kyle were on the team, and they just crushed it. So next week, I don't really know what's going to happen. I'm probably going to pick Genevieve as my vote out, because next time on Survivor was very defeating last time. Kyle's probably going to win immunity, or Rachel's going to, do something. Yeah, Sam, next week, apparently it seems he's on to Rachel. All right, that's it for me. Bye.
Fantastic. Good job, Anderson. Next up, we got a call from Drew.
Hey, Joanne and Stacey. Hey, everyone. This is Drew. So, yeah, another great week. You guys, the season just is delivering. And I was not sorry to see Gabe go. It was kind of one of those nice instances where they just kind of talk themselves up and think they're really running the game. And then they are sent on their way, usually, and, it's best when it's kind of a surprise to them. But I think Gabe kind of caught wind. But it still was nice to see kind of his expression change as the votes were read. Here's the thing. It's really fun watching with the kids. They're so invested and they're so captivated by the mechanics of the game and all the different elements. But I tell you what, I am getting to that age where it's hard to stay awake for a long episode of anything. So I kind of dozed off for all the build up to and up until the very end of Tribal Council. So I saw the vote out, but I didn't know anything going on up until after the immunity challenge, from that point until the votes are being read. So I kind of want to go back and watch it a little bit because the kids kind of filled me in. But it's rough. It is rough these days. Tired all the time. But yeah, great season so far. It seems like the scheduling is going to be kind of interesting for the last few episodes, but I'm not doing terrible in JSFL, actually. I forgot to do picks this week. My rollover actually was not so good, but I still, if I run the side challenge, I'd be like 2 steps from the basement level. So not 2 points, 2 steps. Anyway, everyone have a good weekend. I'm getting this in early because I know with the deadline time change, tomorrow I am going to just get the mornings for me and I'm going to forget. But I think next I think Genevieve is going to be safe for the next little bit. I kind of think it is going to be Sue. I've been kind of expecting that for the last episode or two, so I think I'm going to go with Sue next. And yes, why? Does she look so dirty? You look at some of these people, you look at Teeny, you look at Kyle, you look at Rachel even, they look like they're glistening. They look healthy, they look smooth and clean. She looks like she's been rolling in the mud, and I know some people don't notice that stuff, but don't tell me that woman doesn't notice or take note of or pride in her appearance. I'm just saying. She needs to go out into the ocean and just scrub. Looks like sometimes she looks like she has like a puppy dog nose because it's just so dirty. Oh my gosh, kids thought it was funny when I said that. Anyway, have a good one. Talk to you later. Bye.
Awesome. Thanks, old man Drew.
Yeah.
Good job. So I saw an explanation, and I was surprised because of who it came from. Carson and Caroline from 44, the Tika. Remember Cuckoo Carolyn?
Yes.
I said Caroline, but it's Carolyn. Cuckoo Carolyn. And they have a podcast called Let's Get Tribal, I think. And she had an explanation for why Sue looked that way, and it kind of makes sense. She said there's something called contouring. Do you know what that is? It's a makeup thing that women do to make certain features stand out or like to have shadows.
Sure.
So Carolyn said that she had done a thing where she used charcoal to give herself, I think she said smoky eye or something like that while she was out there. She was trying to come up, she was researching and getting tips for what to do to, and so she said that.
You don't have a mirror, so.
Right. But she said she would see her reflection in the well.
Oh, okay.
When they would go to get water, and so I guess that was part of what she was using.
You would have to trust someone else, and somebody like you would tell them wrong.
You look like you got dirt on your face. So she reached behind herself.
Oh, that looks great.
She reached behind herself into a potted plant and grabbed dirt and started rubbing it on her face. And she did look similar to Sue, but she did end up with some areas looking darker and other areas being sort of highlighted. And I thought, I guess that's plausible.
So do you think Sue's trying to do something, but it's leaving dirty marks?
Yes. She's not getting enough dirt off.
She's trying to contour her face and it's leaving dirty marks.
That's one possible explanation.
Yeah. I think Caroline would help direct her.
Yeah, if she asks. Maybe she's not one to ask.
Okay.
And, who's
I
going
would
to miss
have
the
never
opportunity?
thought of that, so I'm glad that Carolyn gave that information.
That was her idea, yeah.
And I just saw this morning where Carolyn is going to be on the
Traders.
season 3 of The Traders, along with Jeremy and Tony and Boston Rob.
Yeah, interesting.
It's like, my goodness.
How are you going to manage that chaos that's Carolyn? Oh, anyway, thanks, Drew. Good job. Next up, we got a call from David.
Hey, Joanna and Stacy. It's David in Pittsburgh. Well, I hope I sound a little different to you guys today because I had sinus surgery on Monday. My doctor wanted me to get it done 2 years ago, and I kept putting it off. But by then, I was so blocked up, and I have not been able to breathe through my nose for years. Always sounded like I was congested. So I had the surgery, expected to be uncomfortable and some pain, and voila, no pain at all, feeling great. And so I'm ready to dive into Survivor. I thought it was interesting that this week was similar to last week. We had a threesome. The person who decided to jump ship ended up getting out her ally who had talked to her about being in the final 3 with them. And then she also betrayed the other person in the trio who relied on her. And I think in both cases, it'll be interesting to see the results. Last week, Genevieve, I think maybe could have pulled it off better if everyone didn't know that she was part of it. Thank you, Andy. This time, Carolyn kind of slid in there. She brought it up to, but other people were already bringing up Gabe's name. So I do want to see what the fallout will be from both moves. I don't think Genevieve is going to last long in the game. People, as Sam said, she's frightening. They don't trust her. And she has a cold-bloodedness about her that I don't like. She actually is my USB, my second one, and now I'm wondering why I chose her. I really probably wanted to choose Rachel, but at the time I don't know why, I just thought about Genevieve, and yet I really like the way Rachel's playing, and I think she's got a lot in her and maybe in the game longer, but we'll see what happens. I'm not sure if Carolyn is going to pay for this, but again, Sue is going to feel betrayed just like Teeny felt betrayed. And that's not a good sign when you're eliminating people that would be supportive of you. So on the jury, would they vote for her? I don't think so. We saw that Gabe and Genevieve knew that people were gunning for them. I wonder if Gabe could have switched things around by having his 4 and Genevieve work together and vote, say, Sam out because Kyle was safe. I just always wonder when things go awry and you're on the chopping block, if there's a way that you can rescue yourself by doing something unconventional. Anyway, talk to you guys next week. Enjoying the season. Have no idea who's going to win. Bye.
So, David, as someone who has spent years listening closely to your voice, I can tell you there is a dramatic difference from what it had been previously. I'm thrilled that went well and that you are not in pain.
Yeah, because we had another friend who just had that done, and he was in a lot of pain. So, good deal.
Yeah. Very fortunate. Glad you had that addressed. Next up, we got a call from Brandyn.
Hey there, Joanne and Stacy. It's Brandyn from Indiana, and wanted to bring my feedback for Survivor Season 47, Episode 10. But before I say anything about this episode, I want to say, so glad that your move went well, seemingly, and at least was successful. Hopefully you're doing well with the unpacking and all of that, and just the busy world that I'm sure that continues to encapsulate. But also, so much wanted to say thank you for the podcast returning. I've really enjoyed listening to it, especially hearing what all the fans think in addition to your thoughts. And I do echo at least Joanne and I think some of Stacy's thoughts on at least some of these players, and I will get into that here in a second. So first off, as far as the player that I am rooting for a victory here after 10 episodes, it is Rachel. I feel like I've been rooting for Rachel basically since episode 2 because I've loved seeing her and Annika work on puzzles together, and I enjoyed their back and forth. I enjoyed Rachel's confessions, especially her clocking Andy right away, but obviously that's in a very weird position right now. I'm hoping that Rachel can continue to maneuver, maybe be the one that starts to check notes on Andy with the rest of the tribe, and they end up knocking him out, but it does feel like the edit is also very much leading towards him going far. We'll see. But right now, my big rooting interest is for Rachel, so hoping to see her continue to go far. I also really like Teeny. I would love hearing Teeny's story and talk about their thoughts on their life and identity this episode, but I do feel like there's not been a lot of strategy that's been successful that we've seen from Teeny. We hear a lot of Teeny's strategic thoughts, but we don't get to see them actually pull it off often, right. And a lot of the votes have been going against them. I'm worried that if they were to win, it would be such a social gameplay win that it might be looked upon by some of the fandom in the way that the Judd-Fabio win was, where it seemed like there was kind of a bit of a backlash there. I would love to see Teeny get the victory if Rachel's not going to, but that's just what I was worried about. As far as players I'm rooting against right now, I would love to see Sue go out of this game. Sue's hatred of Kyle is very entertaining. That montage was fantastic. And seeing her go full goblin mode and just completely apparently just swear off bathing was fun. Thankfully for the Survivor producers, the Survivor gods provided the rain during the tribal council to wash her face off. But seriously, watching Sue eat that rice felt like something out of Oliver Twist. Mm-hmm. And the other player I'm kind of rooting against right now is Andy. I just feel like the scene with the spider web and showing him talking to everybody and him just blatantly talking to everybody, maybe making things up. We've never seen Kyle say the Tweedledum comment, but maybe he did. And that whole thing feels like people are going to start checking notes and it's going to be almost a Zane Knight situation and he'll just get tossed. But maybe not. Maybe he's able to maneuver around, continue to snake his way through the grass. Very excited to hear what everyone else has to say about the episode this week, and excited to continue with this season. But one more thing, a 2-part finale is not 2-part finale. That's a penultimate episode and then a finale. That's all. Bye.
Okay, then. Good stuff. Thanks, Brandon. Next up, we got an email from Josh, the plush moose from Massachusetts. Dear Joanne and Stacy, once again, the editors were merciless in their punishment of hubris. He'll be back on the jury. My other observations. Genevieve blindsided Teeny twice. As the Klingon saying goes, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, prepare to die. Isn't it funny how Andy has power, but Sam still bosses him around? The Fallout's name is Teeny. Is she a nuclear bomb? Andy is weaving his web to snare the unknowing. He'll probably catch himself. There's a theme in the feedback this week about Andy that I wasn't picking up on. I'm enjoying
he's
this.
He's going to get tripped up, too.
When Jeff counted seasons, I was afraid he'd use Culpepper math. Loyal to the soil. Is Sue's face full of dirt because she's taking root? Oh, Jeff tied up the players and made them crawl like worms. I didn't know he was that kinky. Genevieve is a game bot. I hope they have a charging station on the island. After Survivor ends, Jeff's already got his next gig lined up, a restaurant chain, Sanctuary, where good things happen. If Andy bit the ball and it popped, rolling it on the track would have been impossible. Sam and Rachel need anatomy lessons. The chest and shoulders are not part of the head. Indeed. Kyle is weary of Gabe. Me too. Watching his arrogant scheming wore me out. Sam stuck the ball with one toss. He also bowls 300 on weekends. Rachel finally got rice at Sanctuary, but she still couldn't get takeout. Liz Wilcox envies Sam. If she tried that many new fruits, she'd wind up in the ER. Nice throwback to last season. Andy plans to build bonds on all sides of the fence. How many dimensions exist in his neighborhood? Kyle wants Sam and Rachel to stir the pot. When you're hungry, all you can think about is food. When we got Sue's I Hate Kyle montage, I was certain he was sending her home. Andy wants an emotional bond with Sue. Careful, her emotions tend towards murder. A tray balancing challenge? Where's a Mactor waiter when you need one? That's true. Sue and Caroline are Tweedledee and Tweedledum. If Sue has her way, Kyle will be Tweedledun. That's bad. That's a stinker.
Good, bad.
Yeah, that's a funny stinker. Okay. Teeny, your tribe mates are very binary. You're either with them or against them. Gabe thinks Kyle can pull the wool over players' eyes. Gabe, repeat after me. Bah. Teeny's flaming bag is a sign of new life, or it could mean she's about to get burned. Negotiation? Jeff, to quote Inigo Montoya, I do not think it means what you think it means. Is the shot in the dark the new fire token? It would seem so. At least according to the players it is. I like they figured out how to just... It's an interesting balance, isn't it? So you got Rachel coming up with this creative way to use it, to make it useful, and then everybody else saying, it's not really interesting or useful to us, so we're going to let it go.
Okay, back to Josh.
Why did Jeff provide a windbreak for last week's card tower, but not for this immunity challenge? Kyle beat Sue in the showdown. If he was a cat, she'd want to kill him 9 times. Seeing everyone standing sideways on the boards reminded me of Egyptian tomb paintings. Kyle's 1 win away from tying the single-season immunity record. Most of the other 6 record holders lost their seasons. Just saying. Yes. Raising your threat profile that high doesn't usually pay off. Gabe wanted the shot in the dark gone to make vote-outs easier. Wish granted. Rachel wants to steer the ship like the ocean, not like a captain. Don't rudders and engines trump currents? Genevieve has seller's regret. That happens a lot at Trader Jeff's Emporium. The merged tribe is a hodgepodge mess. That's what happens when you spatter 3 colors on a blank canvas. Saul's outfit reminded me of fighters' costumes from 1970s martial arts movies. Yeah, Gabe said that he looked like a character from a fighting game because what they didn't show was that he had rings on every finger. His fingernails were painted. He also had on red shoes and no socks. So he looked like quite the kung fu character when he was coming in. Jeff loves standing in the rain. It cuts down his water bill for taking showers. He did say on his podcast that he loves the rain. He loves what it adds and that they don't have any trouble managing it. The players build a community and tear it apart. Sounds like a Lego playset. Andy said they're hunting threats. Should the tribe name be FUD? Be very, very quiet. You don't know what you got till it's gone? Genevieve must be a Joni Mitchell fan. Sam felt good, then really bad, then good again. Is he bipolar? Next time, Kyle trusts no one, underdogs take over, Andy's in a crushing position, and the immunity challenge is to spell immunity on a tilt table. Are there any bad spellers left in the cast? Anyway, that's it for me for now. Thanks, Joanne and Stacy, for all you do. I can't wait to hear what the other fans have to say. Stay safe, everybody. Thanks, Josh. You crushed it. Good job. Next up, we got a call from Jade-n-Christine.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. This is Jade.
And Christine.
From Hawaii.
Aloha. Oh my gosh, what a great episode.
Yeah.
That was so fun. And mainly because we got our vote up points.
That was very satisfying. That's my first vote up point of the season.
Congratulations to us both.
Thank you.
Congrats.
Yes. But we mostly were wanting to discuss this giving up the shot in the dark bargaining thing that happened. So Jeff was very quick to say, well, this is going to be like, this is your shot in the dark. Like, this is really a big deal. But I don't think that it was such a big deal because all of them did it. All of them gave up their shot in the dark. So it basically evened out the playing field. And it just doesn't seem to be something that they really had a hard time giving up. Although Genevieve did say she regretted it after she's eating her rice.
And Sam did struggle a little bit. But
yeah.
We were also just kind of chatting about what we think about the shot in the dark in general as an element of the game. It's been 6 seasons now, we've seen it, and only one time it's been played successfully, right? That's safe and the person needed it. And otherwise, it hasn't really mattered. So I think it does add a little bit of interesting elements to the social game because people have to really be careful about not telling the person that they're voting out that they're voting them out. But I'm not too sure that it's worth it. What do you think?
Yeah, it's like you have to be a little bit more sneaky and making sure that if you're going to blindside them, that they're comfortable. But I don't know. It's just has been a big nothing burger most of the time.
Yeah.
It's always like, not safe.
Exactly. I would be totally fine if they just got rid of the shot in the dark. I don't think it's added a ton to the game.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong. I'm curious, Joanne and Stacy, what you all think about the shot in the dark as an element of the game. Who do you think will win next time?
Well, I fully expect Kyle to win again.
Yeah.
Because it just seems like he'd be a natural at that. Like the balancing and the stacking of the blocks.
Seems like his thing.
Yeah, I think he'd be pretty good. So from who's left, who do you think's in trouble?
Probably Genevieve, even though she's the USB. I don't know. Now I'm thinking I should have stuck with Andy.
I think he might have a chance to win, which is great. But
it seems like he's the one calling the shots. We always call the people in the hammock the people in the power hammock.
Yes.
Because it seems like if they're laying in the hammock, they're calling the shots. And Andy's been laying in the hammock a lot.
He's been in the hammock, the power hammock. Yeah.
So, I don't know. But I'm enjoying the season even if I'm doing really bad in JSFL.
Yes, we love it. And we love hearing from you guys.
Yes. Can't wait to hear what you think. Bye, Joanne and Stacy.
Bye.
Excellent. I love power hammock. That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
That could be a new thing.
I totally think Andy is going to trip himself up, that he's going to get caught in all this straddling the fence thing and trying to be close with everybody. They're going to find him out. It's going to come out, and then they're going to be upset and take him out just because.
Yes, I guess that is a possibility.
Yeah.
I'm going to hold my thoughts because I know some more people say things about that. So.
Okay, and as far as the shot in the dark, I guess I don't mind it that much. I think it does add a little bit of element, like you said, in their strategy for not letting the people know that they are gonna vote them out. Otherwise, they don't care if they know. If everybody's in line, they're like, yeah, I don't care if you know we're voting you out. But this adds that extra element where they do care if they know.
If Rachel hadn't pulled what she pulled, and I'm not sure that you could do it again to your benefit, that they wouldn't be ready for you, I would have easily said there's just no value in it. And there's certainly no fun element to it. But getting to see how she leveraged it strategically like that makes me reconsider. It just makes me give it another thought. But I'd say on the whole, that 1 in 6 chance of you making it, and you're seeing the result of how it's set up. That's exactly that's very low probability of a hit.
Well, and it does add some intensity when it's happening. When they play it, there is that little bit of intensity, like, oh, what if? And then who are they? They're going to have to eat their own, or
When
some
you're
of that
staring
kind of
down
thing.
the barrel of likely being gone, and Gabe knew that there was a good chance, just like Genevieve knew there was a chance for her because she had raised her threat profile so high.
And still is.
Then you would be willing to grasp onto it potentially. Although Gabe said, "Look, never am I going to give up my vote. My vote is so much more powerful. It's so much more meaningful that I'm going to hold on to my vote. I'm never going to play the shot in the dark." I think I would look at it in a similar way, but Rachel showed me a way to look at the game completely differently.
Yeah,
and I
that's
love
true.
how she innovated on that to that degree. If they took it out, I don't know that we would miss out on anything significant. That one time when it hit, it was quite the thing for 10 does not counts to come in. Mm-hmm. But what did it really do? It saved him for one more vote. So they're just going to come right back at you if they're
that's
coming
all
that
you can
hard.
do. One vote at a time.
Yeah. Good discussion. Good topics. I like the power hammock. Thanks, Jade-n-Christine. Next up, we got a call from Jeremiah.
Hello, Joanne and Stacy, Survivor friends. This is Jeremiah calling from my car. I apologize for the poor audio, but I wanted to make sure I got this feedback in before the deadline. Last week I missed because of I was moving, ironically. Now, I, of course, was only moving about 25 minutes north of my location, so not across the country, so not nearly as dramatic as the move you two had to make, which I'm sure was very challenging. So this week, pretty much a straightforward episode, at least for me it was. I know there was a lot of conversations on Wednesday on Facebook about who was going to go home, and most of us all thought that it would be one of the former Tuku tribe members. Who it would be, that was the question we didn't know. Obviously, it probably would have been Kyle if he didn't win another immunity. Boy, that kid's threat level is so high now. Once he loses again, I think he will definitely be the one to go for sure. So not too surprised. I was one of the few people that liked Gabe, by the way. I know he's a little cocky, a little snarky sometimes, but he was at least playing the game. I really enjoyed watching him. But yeah, so there's that. Interesting episode for Teeny. More Teeny content. Don't know what to think about that. But one of the things I have been mentioning lately to a lot of Survivor people is that one of the things I love about this season is I've changed my mind so many times on who I think is going to win. And I think that has to be attributed to a couple things. Obviously, the gameplay. It definitely has elevated, I feel like, since recent seasons for sure.
Yes.
And maybe it has a little bit to do with the editing too. Hey, whatever exactly it is, I really like it. It's been fun because I really don't know what to expect from this season. And that's pretty exciting. Even right now, I don't know. Is Teeny now back in the running? Maybe. For a long time, I thought one of the Lavu members was going to win, but now I don't think that they are going to win. I think maybe it's going to be one of our former Yellow Tribe members is what I'm leaning towards at the moment. Rachel, Sam, or maybe Andy. I'm still not fully sold on the Andy thing. I was paying attention to this week how he got a lot of the music that they're playing when he has these confessionals about all these moves and stuff he's making. Kind of sounds whimsical, like almost not the Dodo music, but almost kind of like that. Do you guys feel the same way? I'm still not convinced he's going to win. I feel like he's a little bit more in the head. I think he thinks he's playing better than he really is, and I think that's going to come out in the finale. I wouldn't be surprised at all if he's like a final three finalist that doesn't get any votes. All right, as far as next week's concerned, like I said, I think there's either going to be Genevieve or Kyle that's going to go home. I think that's the obvious. And yeah, that's it for me. You all take care. Until next time, this is Jeremiah from Southern California.
Thanks, Jeremiah. That's another thing. I hadn't picked up on that the music's different when he's given all how he's succeeding, how he's strategically making all these moves. If they're kind of poking fun at him in the background with the music, we could be in for another big Andy crash at the end. Interesting. Good stuff. I hope your move went well, Jeremiah. Next up, we got a call from Jen.
Hi, everyone. This is Jen in California, and here are my thoughts on Survivor 47, Episode 10. Just a little quick note about episode titles. Andy had the episode title this week and last week. He was the one that said Nightmare Fuel, although for the life of me, I can't remember exactly what he said it was about. I think it was about all the chaos before Tribal Council. Previously on Survivor, we get to see all the teeny moments that were significant that they didn't show us last week. I don't like it when they go back and rewrite history. But tonight, in a way, was the teeny show because she got burned, so I guess they had to go back and show us what they didn't want to show us before, so we could form some sort of a bond with her over what is happening in this episode. That was a little disjointed to me. I've mentioned in the past that I don't really have a connection with Genevieve, or I don't like watching her play. Genevieve's admission that she tried very hard not to have an emotional connection with people, I think, is the reason why I don't have an emotional connection to her. I wonder. I wondered why they showed us Gabe's little dance again. What was the significance of that? But I guess that's the best that they have to show us of Gabe's experience on the island before he got voted out. Was that all that they had of him? I feel like we haven't seen much of him. Gabe, we hardly knew ye. I liked hearing that they wanted to vote off a Tuku because I had Kyle to go. I felt like his immunity look was wearing off, but I was wrong. The reward challenge in the sanctuary episode was nothing really notable there. Nice to watch them talk. Everybody's kind of recognizing that Genevieve is kind of a game bot. But back at Becca, Sue hates Kyle. Wow. That montage was pretty hilarious. And Andy, in his own way, tells every single player that they are his closest ally, or that they could be his closest ally. And this is great, isn't it? I feel like that's what he's doing every time he talks to someone. So we finally got to the immunity challenge where we have the rice for sitting out dilemma. I'm so tired of the rice for sitting out dilemma. I knew nobody in this group was going to sit out. But do you know what was amazing? I cannot believe that Jeff negotiated their shots in the dark for rice. I personally think that the shot in the dark is a stupid advantage. It's like holding a lottery ticket that never is going to win. And I know one person had it work out for them, but the lottery's that way too. Someone else always won the lottery, not you. My apologies if anybody here has won a lottery. Come to think of it, though, I won a car by buying a $15 raffle ticket. So, well, there's that. But now I'm like rethinking my own opinion on this, but I'm forging ahead. I think that trading rice for the shots in the dark was a no-brainer. It's like trading absolutely nothing for rice. I think giving up your vote is too big a price to pay for a slim to none shot of random immunity. So that was fascinating to watch, and I'm glad they got the rice. And I really don't think we're going to miss the exciting playing of the shot in the dark for the rest of the season. I think we'll all be just fine. Anyway, that's it for me. I can't wait to hear everyone else's thoughts on this episode. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone in the States. Till next week.
Thanks, Jen. I like the whole flow of your story there. Next up, we got a call from Paul.
Hey, Paul in Louisiana here. And my last feedback, I said I was going to pick Gabe to be voted out. But then I guess I realized that if I did that, then I'd break my streak of not getting a vote-off point this season. So I switched to Rachel. But then when I went to put in my picks, I remembered that she had an idol. So I figured if she used it, she'd target Genevieve. So that's who I picked. The good news is that I didn't pick Gabe as safe, so my 3-point week streak ended. But I do this a lot. I change my picks as I'm entering them. It's sort of like a live tribal when I go to log into the JSFL site. And I wonder if I'm the only person playing who's this disorganized. I hate to say it, but yes, I completely agree that just watching Sue is off-putting. She's always a mess, but holy crow, in this episode, she really upped the filth bar. We couldn't stop chuckling whenever they had a close-up of her face, and I'm starting to think that silicone and collagen attract dirt better than a Swiffer. But for me, at least, I think it's that white halo that surrounds her lips that's so distracting to me. And when it was raining so hard at Tribal, I was hoping it would clean her up a little bit, but nope, that didn't happen. Maybe her cheers for Gabe will do the trick in the next episode. And if you thought she was PO'd this week, just wait until we see what she has to say in the next episode. I bet it'll be Kyle's fault, though, right? Am I naive about how much rice they got from Jeff? Because, boy, did they cook what looked like a full 10-pound bag when they got back to camp, with 2 pounds of it ending up on Sue's face. Speaking of the rice, let me say that I never placed much of a value on those shots in the dark. Yeah, we've seen it work out, but 90% of the time, or even more, it just costs the player a vote, and we all feel the same way about that. So I'm wondering, how does everyone else feel about the shot in the dark? Is it worth as much as Jeff thinks it is? Apparently the players this season, excluding Sam, didn't really think that much of it. Until, of course, it was gone, but that's the way it always is. At any rate, if I were Jeff, I'd have to wonder if I was placing too high a value on the shot in the dark thing after seeing this happen. And I seem to be asking a lot of questions here, but brace yourself because here comes another one. Is Andy really experiencing a redemption arc, or is it a fantasy arc? I can't honestly tell if people are looking at him in a better light now or not. I know I'm not. I still can't get past his meltdown in the first episode, and maybe I just need to loosen my grip on that, because that's the only way I see him in this game, on the ground crying. He sure talks a lot, but is he getting credit for anything by anyone? And that brings me to Gabe, who I did essentially the same thing to. In the first or second episode, when he tumbled down the hill with the idol clue, I instantly judged him as a buffoon. But as things progressed, I saw that he really was playing the game, and that his tumble was just an unfortunate event. So, all in all, I have to hand it to Gabe for being a player, but if I were Jeff, I wouldn't bring him back, only because of how cocksure he was about coming back again. It's just too much overinflated ego for me to take. Lastly, I'm torn between Genevieve, Sam, or Kyle to go. I'm pretty sure that as soon as Kyle is on the table to be voted off, I'm sure that they will go for him regardless of anything else going on. Still, I want to say Genevieve goes, but let's face it, I'm not going to know for sure until I put my picks in at the last minute. And with that, I guess it's time to end this, so everyone take care, enjoy the next show, and I'll catch you all next week. Bye.
Fantastic. Thanks, Paul.
Well, right now I'm leaning toward Genevieve as well, but I do see that it could be Sam. And if Kyle lost, but
Are you talking about win or vote out?
Vote out.
Oh, okay.
I think Kyle's going to win that challenge too.
I sure want him to.
I know, you do. I do too, and he's not even my USB.
Yeah. So you got that theme, right? People are seeing something different about how Andy's being presented. I had just sort of written it off as, well, they're just trying to punch him up because he had this really low point, and anything even approaching a redemption arc for him might be worth celebrating given that he continues in the game.
Well, I like that Andy is continuing to try to play the game, and he has, in my opinion, had some success, and especially with Rachel. But I do kind of think that they're setting him up for another crack, but because he's veered off of kind of how he started, and I think he also is overly confident now.
He's way deep in the gloating space.
Yeah, and he's going too far in trying to have an alliance with every person and make them think that they're his person. Mm-hmm. And I think that's going to bite him.
That they're seeing through it, and it's not actually meaning anything, even though we're being shown the interactions.
I think some of them are not seeing through it. But when they do, that's when it's going to impact. Because I think he and Rachel actually may have something going. But, Rachel's observant.
She's observant. She's also desperate for any alliance she can get.
I don't blame her for grabbing it.
Right.
But, and someone like Sue, with whatever he tells her, she's observant too. She does watch people. Mm-hmm. And what they're doing. And so at some point, someone's going to go, hey, wait a minute.
Right.
He said this and this. And then they'll say, he said that to me too. And
right.
Blah, 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 blah. And then he's toast.
I'm going to look with a more critical eye now. I think I'm going to have to go back and watch the episode again, especially just to listen for the music, because I thought he was getting an overly positive review, maybe to try to help him to try to spin a little better story, since he needs lots and lots of positive verbal affirmations, that I thought maybe they were trying to just throw him a bone with the way the edit was going. I didn't think he was going to be the mastermind of the season or anything like that. But. And
I did want to just briefly mention that I did like that they had a tribute to Barbara, Jeff's mom.
Yeah.
And I just like that they acknowledged and how big a fan she really was. Actually, his dad too, and Brent, his brother, and Brent's family, his wife and kids. They all seem to be really big fans too. So.
Well, I just thoroughly enjoyed all your feedback this week. I appreciate you giving us opportunities to look at the game through different lenses, to see other things that might not be there that aren't immediately obvious on the first watch.
That's what keeps us going.
We thoroughly enjoyed it. We appreciate hearing from all of you. I want to say a big thanks to Hope and Scott for your donations. Thank you so much for that, helping us with the operational costs of the podcast. We deeply appreciate it.
And don't forget, if you're playing in JSFL, to make your Week 11 pick for one person voted off and 4 people who are still safe at the end of the episode.
We'll be back on Wednesday with our next recap. Have a good one, and have a what?
I was going to say, if they're traveling, be really safe.
Yes.
Out there. And if you, I'm sure we'll wish again on Wednesday, but
yes,
for those who won't get to listen, we hope you have a very happy Thanksgiving.
Absolutely.